All right. So I'm going to take it from the top again. I'll have, we'll edit this out so we can make this a little bit better and not so choppy for you guys. The connection hopefully will be better too. So first of all, welcome. This is another episode of GLG Leaders. I'm Andy Peters, operating partner for the Georgia Legacy Group. And I'm joined with two of my favorite people, Nicole and Craig Zuber. Nicole, she is actually our MAPS coach on the operations side of our business. And Craig leads our production side of the business for the Peters Company. And you guys have been a big part of our team for almost a year now. You guys have been helping us out, and we're just so thankful for that. And we're so thankful that y'all share a moment with us and our agents. First of all, how are you?
Good. And it's a pleasure being in business with you guys.
Absolutely. And time does fly, Andy. It's been a little bit longer than a year with me. It's 2 years, probably. Sure, Claire.
Has it been 2 years?
It'll be 2 years in May. So no, next month.
Wow. How do you know that and I don't know that? Clearly, you're at better service of me than I am of you.
I'll study the numbers.
Yeah, you do. You do. Well, we've thank you all for your patience too. We've had a little bit of technical challenges on one of our other platforms, and you know what? You pivot, right? You always got a plan B.
That's right. We find a way. We did it.
If you can't be agile, then this industry might not be for you.
That's true. That's true. So let's get down to like what can we help people with right now? You're an agent, and you are perhaps a little bit scared, fearful right now of what's going on in the market, and there's uncertainty all around you. What do you do right now?
Well, you're fearful of the market. Is that right?
Yeah.
Right. So one of the things that I would share, Andy, is, I can ask this of you first, that when you're doing the right things, are you fearful?
No.
Right. So most of the time fear shows up because we're not actually doing what matters most, or we're not spending the right focused effort on the right things. So if you're looking to eliminate fear, make sure that your energy is focused specifically on what matters most.
So how would you guys, what matters the most, has it changed right now?
No, it hasn't.
Tell us more about that.
Okay. I mean, go ahead.
What I personally believe is the only thing that has changed is probably we're now being forced into what Gary has been talking about for 3 years. We're living literally in the technology shift that he's been talking about for 3 years. And so the only thing that has changed is now we are being forced to dive deeper into the relationships that we have our past clients, the people who know us, like us, trust us, and also the people that need help, period. So this is, I believe we've gone from transactional to truly relationship driven businesses now. Yeah.
No reason to waste a good pandemic. It's an opportunity to go deeper into a relationship with people, right?
That's right.
Right. And so that's what doesn't make sense to me is, why did it change? Right. Like, if we look at the role of a real estate agent, and we open up the MREA and we open up the shift, our job, our number one priority is to find somebody that wants to make a move. Isn't that it? Like, the number one focus is find somebody that's looking to make a move, and let's just say it within the next year or so. Isn't that our job?
Yeah.
Okay. So did that change?
No.
Might
have gotten harder, but it didn't change.
That's the whole thing, is platforms may have changed. The way that we communicate may or may not have changed. But the number one priority of when I wake up in the morning, my number one objective or goal is to find somebody that I can work with that's looking to make a move in this industry. It's that simple. It has not shifted.
Yeah. Well, clearly, I mean, it's a little bit more adversity than we're used to. You know, as I've been talking to leaders around the company and really kind of telling their stories, we talk a lot about adversity, and we talk about like what were the defining moments for you throughout your lives and your marriage. What were those moments that challenged you and made you better? Perhaps made you have to behave a little bit differently or think a little bit differently, but ultimately made you better. When I say that, what am I describing in your world?
So for me personally, it was March of 2011 when Craig and I joined Keller Williams, and we had been in the industry for how long then?
7 or 8 years.
7 or 8 years. We owned, a franchise. We've been with a boutique brokerage, and we've never experienced an environment like this. And I'll never forget my OP. I think she saw this very scared person, broken bird, if you will. And she sat me down, and I think she just knew that I was yearning for some sort of stability, because we had crawled, barely surviving out of that last crash of 09. And it was 2011 March. She sat me down, and she explained to me something that's called the net worth calculator. And I'd heard of it. I'd never really did anything with it. And she showed me what to do, and I immediately went home and we started plugging away. And Craig and I, that bottom line number, that was a defining moment for me, because when we looked at it, what was that number?
Negative 842,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people live in that world.
They do. And honestly, I could tell you, the story to getting to the bottom for me, because my pain tolerance, unfortunately, is so much higher that I thought I was at the bottom, and I believed that I was. And then I decided to, get dragged across it for about 1.5 years. So defining moment, I could say it's two, and they were really close to each other. And one of them was enough was enough, December of 2010. When my bride walked into the office and basically said, "I quit, I'm out, take it from here."
30 short sale files, y'all.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
And so that was a wake-up call at that moment in time. And what was interesting about this, I don't know if I've ever shared this before, was I was reaching out to mentors at the time. They weren't necessarily in real estate, but I was looking at some confident people, and just to say, I'm exhausted. I've been fighting this fight for the last 2.5 years. I even wrote a book to attempt to get my way out of this hell. I just want to quit. And it took some people that I highly respect the most that almost relieved my pain to say, do it. That it was almost that liberating factor that once I got the buy-in or okay, that like they weren't going to look at me differently if I did it, that it gave me a little bit of juice to say, I'm not doing that. I'm not. So yeah. I got a little bit of juice, and then I realized it only took me like 2 weeks. Literally, that juice lasted for about 2 weeks when I was like, what am I doing? And it was January 11th, and I surrendered, or January 9th, 2011, I surrendered. That was my defining moment. I surrendered. I was, instead of driving the office, I drove into a vacant subdivision. I pulled out a journal and I just unleashed. I just wrote every single thought. I surrendered to everything. I'd like, here's what I've done. Here's what I haven't done. I'm done. I don't know what else to do. Like, I have surrendered and I've given it all away. And literally, Andy, I know this sounds crazy, but it took less than 48 hours before I got a call from somebody that said, hey, I'm just checking in. What are you doing today? What are you doing these days? Because, you know, there's so much opportunity as being CEOs and stuff like this in this Keller Williams organization. I was like, what? 48 hours from the time that I surrendered, that phone call came in. And then Erica Hill came into our life as the OP, and one of the, you know, most phenomenal women that I have the opportunity to know. And that was a massively defining moment. Like,
so Keller Williams kind of came to you in your darkest hour, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Very much so.
Right out of the gate. And it wasn't like Keller Williams wasn't known. remember, I have a high pain tolerance. I was doing everything that I could for years before that to do what Keller Williams was doing, and I wasn't winning.
We even had a red book, or we do it somewhere, and we were using it a la carte.
We do so. What are you talking about? I've got multiple red
well,
books.
We have. I'm just saying, like before we joined KW, we would use it a la carte, and it's somewhere. The hinges are still broken and it has coffee stains and stuff. Like, hey, let's create a new system. Let's see what this says. So.
Yeah, I was
in the simplest form.
Yes.
I was behaving as a entrepreneurial person and didn't know how to break through the ceiling purposefully on my own.
Yeah, you're kind of a grabber, right? You're grabbing things as you needed them.
Yes, I'll take this, but I wasn't following a specific model.
Recipe.
Right, and I was putting people through hell. I mean, it was on me, right? Like whether it was my bride, whether it was other people that were in business with me. I own all of that, and it was painful.
So then what happened? So you started following the model, or what?
Yeah.
So don't leave us hanging. You changed this thing.
Right out of the gate. I mean, look, right out of the gate from 2011. So we joined KW. We have Erica Erica Hill looking at everything and going, look, you absolutely have the opportunity if you want to, you go be a team leader. Here's all the opportunities inside of the organization. With her clarity and simplicity on evaluating what we did, what we accomplished, who we were, and how we did it the painful way, she's like, it makes so much more sense for you to just follow the models here and rebuild what you already have versus going out and doing something else. Build what you have and then make decisions from there. After you get that back up and operational and back to where you want it to be, then let's make a decision on what you want to do next. Let's not go shiny object this.
Yeah. So you continued building the business, following the models of KW. Mm-hmm. And, fast forward to where you are now after building a successful real estate team as MAPS coaches. And Craig, you're a head coach for MAPS, meaning you coach other coaches. And Nicole, you were named Coach of the Year for MAPS coaching last year. Just two fantastic achievements from both of you guys. What has this KW opportunity meant for you?
Oh, it's meant everything. So you said it, like KW found us in our darkest hour. And it's also been part of our greatest hour, in the sense of living life on purpose. 2016, we got more clarity, and we had built our business up into a way where we were able to look in the mirror and say, okay, we have worked so hard to get to where we are, and it's time to find clarity on what the future looks like for us. So I'm speaking my portion of my story, right? And to sum it all up, it was 2016, and I looked in the mirror and wasn't clear on where, like, I work so hard to get to a certain place, and then I'm like, what's next? And Craig and I mean, in the downturn, we were building and developing properties all over the country. When the part we're not saying, we were over leveraged and undereducated before we joined KW. That's how we got that negative 842. And we were building and developing properties in Hawaii. And that island just kept calling back to us. And we made a decision in 2016 to recreate our business in a way that we could put the Pacific Ocean between us and our real estate team. So back, for all you guys that are complaining about Zoom right now, going old school, circa 2017, I ran my real estate team from Oahu, Hawaii, while they were in Boise, Idaho.
Wow.
And it was one of the most phenomenal years of my life. I was able to get so much clarity. We grew so much as a family. So going back to what has KW meant to us, it's everything. And where we are today, we have been preparing for this moment. We've been preparing to lock arms with you guys and help you get through whatever it is that we're all going through, because there's not one person that is looking at this pandemic with the same exact perspective and the same exact goggles.
Yeah, that's true. And we've got so much flying at us right now in terms of training. There's so many great ideas out there, like every day. And I've made this comment before, like by the time 5 o'clock comes around, there's a time in my life where I was ready to, pour that adult beverage. And not to say that I don't enjoy that now, because I certainly do. However, I'm so fired up by the time my day ends. It's just so much energy, right? And then 30 minutes of the news, and all of a sudden, you're kind of having to check your thoughts again, right?
Yeah.
It's really an interesting time. And the only way that we can really preserve that is by sharing ahas like all the time. As we go on these trainings, and I've been challenging our leadership, is just turn on your computer. There's 5 things on at one time. Commit to something, share your ahas, and be of value to other people.
Right. I think, Andy, one of those things that that I don't know has changed either. It's just the platform may change and it went to Zoom, but ultimately what we have to be careful is that we're not lacking information, right? So when people tell me, hey, I've been on this Zoom call and I've been on this Zoom call, look, I love it and respect it. And I'm the #1 advocate here of education. But also, let's be clear, if you don't know what it is that you're looking to learn, that's where you got to start, right? Because education without action and accountability is just entertainment. And if you want entertainment, I'll go buy you a Netflix subscription, but you got to stop pretending like the fact that you getting educated is the most important thing. You got to figure out what you need to learn in order to get yourself into action non-negotiably right now.
Yeah. And if people are feeling paralyzed, maybe watching something can help give them some good ideas of what to do right now, and then immediately go put it into action.
That's it. It's like you got, following a schedule, it hasn't changed either, right? Like, so when somebody's looking to get educated, that's awesome. But how much time do you have blocked to do that? Right? Like you don't need hours on end at this moment in time. Right. Take 30 minutes at a time, then go apply that on what's most important right now. And that's finding the next person that's ready, willing, and able to make a move.
Right. Exactly. So, what do you think the opportunities look like on the other side of this?
Well, here's what I would say is I think this is leveled the playing field. And what I mean by that is the question that I'm asking right now is what do you want to be known for 6 months or 12 months from now? Right? Because what you do in the next 30 minutes or the next 30 days, you have the opportunity to put the past behind you and be able to be recognized for whatever that is. Yeah. Right? Like the opportunities are endless, but the challenge is that if you're focused on the opportunity, it could be shiny versus, or I'm sorry, like an opportunity. You hear it all the time. Oh man, I'm just looking for an opportunity. Well, you want an opportunity or you want the opportunity? What is the opportunity that you're absolutely 100% preparing for? Clarity, right? Like you need clarity. And if you don't know that, you should probably slow down at least for 30 minutes and reflect.
Yeah. Well, you guys had a whole season in Hawaii to get clarity, right? So tell us about that. Like what created that and what did that do for you?
So I shared my portion of the story. You want to share yours?
Andy, what this is really about is facing fears, right? Like, can you actually do it? We live in a company that says life by design. What does that actually mean? Right? Like, is it just a saying or are we actually living it?
Yeah.
And so, that's one big thing is I would say we had great coaches in our life to help us get to where we're at. And I remember wholeheartedly 3 months, like we had laid this out, we're getting ready to go. And we're 3 months from actually doing it. Like everything else is in place. We're doing this. And I literally was like, I'm paralyzed. I don't want to do this.
We chickened out for a second.
Like literally, like, what are we doing? Yeah, right. And Monica Reynolds at the time just came in, and it was almost like that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. No. We're going, and that's it. This is my story. It was just that. You're going. That's dumb. Let's roll. And it was something just that simple that was like, for me at that point, I needed to reflect and say, wait a minute. This is way bigger than me. This is way bigger than me. This is showing that my bride that I can face my fears. This is showing my kids that we don't stop putting in something in motion because you get afraid. This is showing other people that I'm coaching, that maybe that I'm leading, that you don't stop your dreams because all of a sudden a little fear came into play. That doesn't stop. So get out of your own way. This is way bigger than you, and follow through with what you said you're going to do. It was getting there that created more clarity than actually being there for me.
Well, I'm sure you enjoyed yourself while you were there.
Oh, no, absolutely. But it was, it was getting there, and it was, man, I mean, you just got to take time for yourself, right? Like, and reflect. What have you learned? Because you take, you know, we talk about taking action all the time, but if you don't reflect on the actions that you took, then you don't actually know what you really learned.
Yeah, and you can't repeat it.
That's right.
Yeah. So, did your why change during that time, or has it always been the same?
I don't know that people's whys like change, right? Like, just, at least mine didn't. I mean,
for me, it did. My why has changed a couple of different times for me. Like the very first time I got really intentional about a why, it was to get that negative 842 into a positive. Like that was, and a pattern that I even see just being totally vulnerable right now, like that I have in myself, is if I don't have something really intense to go after and to grow me, I get bored and it's really uncomfortable. And the pattern that I see though is when I achieve it, if I'm not doing something like ahead to start thinking about what the new one is, I'm going to be stuck. So that was the.
Are you an achiever? Are you an achiever?
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. So so with that, it's just everyone's why. Like if you don't know what your why is, maybe your why is to find your why. It's okay. And it's a general term that can shift and change as somebody else changes, you know, as you change as a human.
Yeah, it's
I'll just say for me, Andy, I don't, it's not that about whys like agrees or disagrees, because it's not even about that. It's literally, there's times like, you know, Simon Sinek writes these amazing books about finding your why and start with why. And the truth is that it's inside of us. But like anything else, like, are you taking enough time to actually figure out what it is, or are you using it as an excuse that because you don't think you know it, that's why you're not moving forward, right? My why hasn't changed since I was a kid. Whatever I wanted to do, my goal was to be the best at it. That's been my why, right? Like, do I love helping people? Yes, I do. Do I feel like it's a calling for what I do and how I showed up as a coach? Yes. But when people say, well, what made you make that decision? I've been helping people my entire life, but being the best version of myself is the only way I know how to do that. So that piece hasn't changed. And there's times I get scared, and there's times I get scared shitless, but I face my fear because my mission of being the best demands it.
Sorry, Mo.
Yeah, that's right. We don't say shit around here, by the way.
Way.
So let me ask you this, because both of you guys would greatly qualify to answer this question. What do you think makes a great coach?
Are they coachable themselves?
Yeah.
Are they willing to put in the work?
Are they willing to talk the talk that they walk?
Have they been there? Are they in the trenches? Are they a student of the game? Right? That's what makes a great coach. Is you still got to be able to connect with people. You still got to be able to build rapport, right? And you still have to come from a place like, are you willing to slow down? Are you willing to ask questions? Are you willing to get better? Like, I don't really know how else to say it. Like, what makes a great coach is somebody, or coach or real estate agent or whatever your profession, are you willing to go all in?
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people get coach and motivational speaker confused, right? The motivational speaker is somebody that comes in and delivers a message and they're out the door. A trainer and a coach is somebody that does all of that and locks arms and walks with you, right? We used to have a saying, the leader must start the march and fall behind to walk with the people. Right. So a good coach does that, right? Yeah. They lead the way and then they fall back.
Well, and you're partnering with them. Ultimately, when we're talking about whys or things of that nature, we're getting clarity on, yes, the goal, but I want to know more about the sacrifice to hit that goal, because the sacrifice is going to predetermine. I already know, I'm looking out, there's going to be days when you're going to just absolutely want to quit. There's going to be days that you're going to actually hate everything that you just did. How do I know that? Because I've lived it, right? And we need people in our lives to remind us why we're doing this in the first place. The Monica Reynolds will say, when the fear kicked in, when I don't want to move forward, remind you why you're doing this in the first place, to get you back into action. Yeah. That's what makes a great coach.
Yeah.
And the other piece, like, so to Craig's point, Monica did coach, she coached us through this. And I'll never forget when I got on the call and I'm like, we're just kind of hold back. She's like, no, you're not. You're not giving up on your dreams. You're going to do this. You're committed to this. And it was like the greatest moment of empowerment. And that's a piece of a coach. Like, Monica didn't care what I thought about her for telling me the truth. And when you care that deeply about your partnership with whoever you're in business with, when you care more about them hearing what they need to hear versus what they will think about you for saying it.
Yeah.
Yeah. A great coach tells you the truth. They basically, in a nutshell, that's what they're doing. It's very rare, Andy, that people, they're just not wired. I don't know, the DNA makeup or whatever, that it's about being liked or being right or feeling rejected or all of those circumstances that are holding people back from telling you the truth. And a great coach shines the light, right? Like, they're not afraid to tell you the truth. They will tell you the truth. They also don't just help you to get to where you're going. They help you get to where you ought to be, not just to where you want to go, right? They pull out the very best in you in your darkest time.
Sure. Yeah, I would be interested in your perspective on this too, because there's time in my life where I was a MAPS coach and certainly coach people every single day of my life. And what I know about myself is I'm a high I. I'm actually a high IS. And I had a hard time because I would do face-to-face like accountability or coaching calls with people. And what I found was that because I liked everybody and I was face-to-face, like right in front of them, that I was a lot less likely to help them get what they want. Once I removed myself and got distance and really like started doing everything virtually or over the telephone, I noticed that I was a lot bolder leader and coach, that I would say things that I probably wouldn't say in person.
Okay.
And I would behave in ways that I probably wouldn't behave in person that moved the business forward. And I'm just curious, like, knowing your own behavioral profile and how many people you coach, what do you guys do to like booby trap your natural tendencies to make sure you show up the best possible way for your clients? Does that make sense?
It does. The one thing that I recognize, I appreciate the fact when we're using personality profiles for how we behave, right? I just want to make sure from people, because you hear it a lot. Well, the reason why I didn't do this is because I'm an I or because I'm a D. Right?
Yeah.
Like, you really want me to buy into that? Right? Like, no, it's, you got this care and you got the candor side of it, right? I care enough about you that I'm going to remind you why you're doing it. I care enough about you that I'm going to say, when you choose not to do this, here's all the other people that it's going to impact.
Yep.
Like, I'm taking it completely off of myself and going to you, in the sense of, I was afraid in the past how people would think if I was too direct. But when I realized, oh my gosh, what we do is about consistently partnering with them, consistently helping them overcome the obstacle, I got to tell them the truth. I've got to be direct. I've got to remind them that this is about their kids. This is about the impact of their relationships. This is about the people that they hired. This is what you signed up for. I don't have a problem anymore with that. When a coach gets clear, or an individual or human gets crystal clear on this partnership and that significance, the conversation is easy.
Mm.
Yeah. It's no different than sitting across the table from a seller who's stuck on something. And whether you're face to face or over the phone, or, I mean, we have an obligation, a fiduciary responsibility to represent them and help them see something so that they can make the best informed decision for their families. It's no different than coaching. So
love that.
I don't know.
So what do you,
question.
yeah. No, that does. I mean, certainly from a personality standpoint, you take it off of yourself and you make it all about them.
Because it is about them.
Right. Because I mean, exactly. Gary Keller says it over and over, man. Like when you absolutely know what their goals are, like, you know it, like this isn't a guess. This isn't, I think so, or maybe, or I believe so, because those are all means you don't know. Right. When you're clear about that, again, I don't want to say anything's easy. It's just, the better you get at what you do, the easier anything else becomes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So last question for you guys, because I think you guys probably have some clients that you got to get to.
We got 11 minutes, just, you know, you're good.
What conversations are you having right now with your clients? Are you seeing common threads throughout it? And how are you leading people through what's going on?
So for me, I coach director of operations with MAPS Coaching. And I mean, as far as right now, I don't care if we're talking production or operations, it's, we need to keep them in the future as to what is going to happen, what our second quarter and third quarter are going to look like, but not too far out to where we have to take this right now. There's so much out of our control, 1 week at a time, 1 month at a time, and 1 week at a time to 1 day at a time. So I'm like, as far as a common theme, that's the calls I'm playing. Right now.
We had a call with Gene Rivers, and he said, you don't have an annual business plan right now. You don't have a monthly business plan. You have a weekly business plan.
Amen.
Get after it.
Amen.
Weekly and daily, right?
Yeah.
So Andy, like, of course we need to know what the big picture is, and we need to revisit all of those things. We need to make sure that the people in our world have not just the motivation, because motivation is exterior. Are they inspired enough to actually know to do the work, right? Inspiration is internal. Are we inspiring them enough to do the work for the right reasons, to know that the other side of this, the part of the rainbow, actually potentially just got bigger, faster? Because anytime that you can eliminate competition, oh my gosh, this is great. But the truth is, you still got to focus on the day. I mean it, the day. If you're not crystal clear on the definition of what a win for the day is, right? Like, I had a call with like 50 clients, a group call, 50 clients yesterday. And I was walking them all through that. And, you know, they were giving great responses. And it's not that they were wrong. There's no judgment on what a win is. There's not. But you could tell that they're not clear enough. Because when I had somebody responded back to me that they got almost clear, I'm like, wow, now repeat it back to me like I was your 6-year-old son. Now do it, right? Is it simple enough and clear enough that that a 6-year-old could understand it? Because a 6-year-old doesn't understand it, then neither do we. And I want to make sure that when you get into bed, you know that you are focused on the most important thing. And that was the win. Because if you get all these other things done, avoiding the most important thing, I failed you.
Well, there's a lot of people in the organization that are listening to you talk and saying, oh, so that's where Andy gets the winning thing. Because I repeat a lot of that I've learned from you. In fact, I just had a call with one of our market centers identifying what were the 4 things that they needed to really self-evaluate themselves on and as a team on. Right. Just 4 things. You know, rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. daily how you're doing, and recognize when you get better, right? When you do something that is a win, let's quantify it. Like, how do we know? And you've taught us that, and I appreciate that. It's actually something that I firmly believe in, and it's helped us tremendously.
And it gives you energy. It gives you motivation. It gives you
right,
like the reason to move forward, because I mean, I don't understand, like, maybe it's because I'm super competitive. I love sports. I love all those analogies, but without the scoreboard and know what that means, like,
how do you know?
I just can't afford to go through life being lost in the sauce like a meatball. It doesn't make sense to me.
mm-hmm.
Craigism.
Yeah, I love it. Well, your videos have been great, Craig. We've enjoyed those, and I've invited Nicole and Craig into Georgia Legacy Group because, really with no expectation for y'all to participate, but I do. Your voice matters. Your little comments, your little injections of ideas or comments make a big difference for not only me, but for our whole team and our whole group of agents. So just know we appreciate that. We, at this point, we're all in it together, right?
Yes. And that's the key is, again, learning in action. But the simplest way is, are you learning in action to find a way? Are you learning in act, or are you finding an excuse? Are you finding a way? Because really at this point, there's really no middle ground, right? Like, we can always find a way, but we need to collaborate together and make sure that those collaborations are coming from other people that are specifically looking for a way, not a reason or excuse. Makes sense? Like, that's where the harsh reality of this is like, it's not necessarily so much harder. It just might require a little bit more effort. It might require a little bit more time on task in regards to, how come you're not practicing your skill at the highest level? How come you didn't make the commitment that if I'm a real estate agent right now, that I'm gonna come out of this, I'm gonna be the best listing agent on the planet, right? Like, sharpen the skill to be the best.
Yeah. And we've been granted, for many of us, for some of us, yes, and some of us, no. For the most part, I think we've been granted the gift of time and to be present, whether it's with your family. I can't be the only person on this call that is maybe detailing the inside of steam cleaning their doggy doors and scrubbing the garage with the toothbrush. But in all seriousness, like, you guys, we are in a culture and in an environment that completely is in locked arms. I know personally what it's like to be on the other side, where the demographic cliff is there and you're at the bottom falling and not knowing what tomorrow is going to bring. There's so much hope, and there's so many resources. And Andy, thank you for, you and Leslie inviting us in here to contribute. It's our pleasure. Anytime, anything we can do to help, let us know, always. And to your leader, to your agents and your market centers, like, you guys are so fortunate to have leadership like Andy that, like, just genuinely cares. He's creating an environment for you to be successful, and it's on you after that. The environment is there. It's up to you to plug in and reach out and ask for help. This is a time, like right now, we are doing things to survive, and it's really the actions that will get us to thrive when we get through the other side, and we will get to the other side of this.
Well, I'm going to say something on that real quick. You cannot skip step. You cannot go from where you're at to thriving without surviving first. You've got to figure out the survive if you want to end up on the thrive.
Yep.
Right? Like, there's no way to leap that.
Yeah, you don't get one without the other.
That's absolutely correct. And yes, we sincerely appreciate it. And it's just, I don't know. The mirror is just so reflective, right? Like, you just got to work. Just make sure that you're working as hard on yourself as you are on others, right? When people tell me how much I care about working with other people or how much I care helping other people, just make sure that you're proving that by working on yourself.
Yeah. I think what's driving me right now, and I've shared this a couple of times, is at the end of it, I don't want somebody to say, wow, he could have really done a little bit more, right? He could have provided, to your point, Nicole, a better environment for us to succeed. I think that's the motivation for me. And I think all of us need to think about that in our own business, right? Is how are we providing an environment? How are we showing up to our database and our people in a way that inspires them, as well as helps them feel safe and helps them get what they want.
Absolutely. You know, when you come, I mean, Andy, look, when you can eliminate the word have to and you replace it with get to or do to, right? It puts you in a gratifying moment. Like, you can't have fear when you're in gratitude either. And like right now, you got to be grateful for what you have, grateful that you get the opportunity to be able to work in this industry, to connect with people, to build better relationships. Grateful that, you know, the times that are fascinating at home are times that now, you know, when our day's over, that we're going on walks with our kids that maybe we wouldn't have done before. Like, when you want to talk about a victory, you should probably also know, what does a victory mean to you when you're in your home environment, when you're going to come out, when the coronavirus is over and the shelter in place is out? How do you know that you won at home?
Yeah, great question. You're full of great questions, both of you. Guys, thank y'all so much for being here with us, and we love you both, and let us know what we can do to help you guys. You are the best. Thanks so much.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it, Andy.
Love you guys.
Take care.
Talk to you soon.
Y'all take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.